Hello, Herb Kim. What is up? It's Italy, right? Are we in Italy today?
Nearly. We're often confused with Italy. We just had to have an Italian speaker, though, so perhaps why you're thinking that. So first of all, welcome, and thank you so much for being willing to join us today. I know how massively busy you are. And congratulations on the success of your book. I was just reading reading up about it on Amazon, and I've seen both the success of its sales, but perhaps more importantly, the incredibly wide and warm receptions that it's received. So I'm sure you must be very happy about that.
Yeah, it was. It's been a 20-year project, so it's been nice to finally get it out and be able to share some of my story. And I think everyone's got a story in them to tell, so everyone should write their own book.
Fabulous. Well, I mean, why don't we just start there? I know we don't have a lot of time, but it would be great for folks to just get a little bit. I mean, it seems to me you've had kind of two major phases of your career. This is a gross simplification, but you obviously are well known for creating AppSumo as an entrepreneur, and then more recently, it seems that you've become a I don't know. It should be interesting to find out. You seem to spend as much time now helping others as you've done your own ventures.
You might say I'm a guru. No, I'm just kidding. I think that title is. There's literally gurus. It's definitely not me. I've had a lot of interesting, entrepreneurial experiences. I was one of the first people at Facebook where I got to work directly with Mark and help build the business up. Help build Mint.com, which sold for a few hundred million. And then, towards AppSumo.com, which I think hopefully a lot of people in the audience are familiar with it. If not, go sign up for our newsletter. And I always wanted a book and something that was more of a roadmap, because I felt like there's so much information out there. How come everyone's not having success with entrepreneurship? And I thought if I shared my process and story, it would help others do the same. And it's been really well received. So with $1 Million Weekend, it hit the New York Times, and now tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of people reading the book and getting inspired.
I mean, that's absolutely the case, and I think what's been interesting, I guess, is your book seems to be both full of practical stuff, but also a lot about mindset. And I guess what is the thing that you are trying to do to help change people to get them into, if you will, a more entrepreneurial mindset?
Yeah, it's fascinating, because I help run AppSumo.com, which is going to do around $100 million this year, which is insane, right? That's insane. I only started it to get deals in software and make $3,000 a month. And what's fascinating about mindset is how afraid we are, including myself. I'm still afraid at times. And what's fascinating about entrepreneurship, and I would say even success in general and self-confidence, and this is what I found out through literally helping tens of thousands of people over decades, is that people are afraid of starting and they're afraid of asking. And that's really what's holding them back from success in really all parts of their life. And those are skills that can be developed just like learning a language, just like learning how to type on a keyboard, how to type faster, like anything. And it's universal, whether you're in Italy, UK, America, wherever you are in the world, these are skills starting and asking that you can get better at.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, it's a notion that we had an earlier speaker whose focus is specifically on tech startups here in the Newcastle area of the UK, and one of the things that I'm sure we've had people like Sugata Mitra and Sir Ken Robinson we worked with before, and all these critics basically of traditional education, the education system as we have it today, and I was wondering as I was reviewing your stuff and listening to some of your podcasts as to whether or not you thought, should being an entrepreneur almost be like something that nearly everyone should do, or should at least try it or consider. Is that something? I mean, I'm going to guess that you advocate more people try doing startups than they are today. But is that something that should almost be like a thing that people think universally? I should at least be thinking about trying to do this.
I have always had the belief, and are there people in the audience? Because otherwise it feels like I'm literally just like me and Herb are having this private conversation. So if you're in the audience, can you maybe like tweet at me? Like I'll pull up my Twitter on my thing. Like send me a photo of me on the screen or something at Noah Kagan.
Please,
like
let's help Noah out that this isn't just a setup.
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
there are
it's
real
so
people
alone
here. There's
I'm just in
350
my,
people or so in the room.
Are there really?
We're hearing some whoops.
Newcastle people. Yeah, I can't hear too many whoops, but what's the Newcastle soccer team? Because that's my new #1 favorite soccer team. Is it a club? We call them clubs.
We did not pay Noah to say that, by the way. But
the Newcastle United FC that's my new team from now on. I don't even like American NFL, Newcastle United Football Club, #1 team. In terms of learning entrepreneurship, there's a reality, and I'm getting emails. Literally, I get, I don't know, it's 5 to 10 a day, and it's that these day jobs can be risky. And I think people don't think about it, but it's risky for a few points. Number one, it can be taken from you. I was fired by Facebook. I was fired by Mint.com. And I'm literally getting 5 or 10 emails a day where they're like, shit, I just got fired. And that's risky. That you're depending on one person for your mortgage. You're depending on one person for your salary, for your family, for your food. And entrepreneurship is a way that you can hedge that. And it's a way that you can have your own ability to choose your destiny. I think the other thing that people don't think of is it's risky if you're in work that you don't like. And I had a lot of day jobs that, I worked at Intel, just like, maybe other people here who have jobs they didn't care for. And so I always wanted to be able to spend my day, these 8 hours a day that we decide to work, doing something that actually matters. I like making YouTube videos and podcasts and writing things. And I've been doing that since the year 2000, probably before you were born, Herb. And
no.
And, I found that entrepreneurship, I don't know if entrepreneurship is for everyone, but everyone has the ability to do it, and I think everyone should try it because it really will help you learn about yourself. And then you could say, hey, maybe I'm going to have my day job. Like my wife, she's a computer programmer for SAP in Europe. And she likes her day job, but she's also kind of thinking, maybe one day in the future, I want to have more freedom now that we're about to have a family. And so entrepreneurship is her ability and option to have unlimited upside. And I think people, whether you're in tech or not, you can make money in unlimited ways. So let me give you an example from literally my wife. And my wife, we were having a baby shower. And if anybody in the audience has kids, I don't know if it's popular across the pond. I hope I can say that.
We have kids.
Yeah, if you got kids, you do these like balloon things. In America, they're super popular now. You do these balloon things, and they're so expensive. It's like $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 for these fancy balloon things. You can see them on Instagram or TikTok, wherever. So my wife was like, I'm going to do it myself. And all of your own problems, all of your own annoyances, all of your own inconveniences are all business opportunities. And there's a process you can follow. So my wife, instead of spending $3,000 on balloons for a baby shower, bought all the equipment herself. I think it was around $50, built it, and she was like, this is literally a business. This could literally be $1 million business. And she's read the book. But it was just cool to see that for her, that entrepreneurship helps her realize that after she goes on maternity leave, she can plant these seeds literally to have her own future, whether she wants to go back to work or not. At least she has that option.
Interesting. So one of the things as I was again reviewing your stuff, and obviously some of the process that you take people through, is that in speaking to people who are so-called high performance coaches and who write on the topic, we hosted a talk with one fellow, and he basically said that the thing that tends to separate the real superstars apart from, if you will, regular people is that they're okay with failing in public. Like they're not intending to fail, but whereas most people are so afraid of feeling some sense of, I guess, humiliation of a failure or a rejection, that it crushes their ability to go, beyond their comfort zone, which sounds similar to some of the stuff that you talk about. And my question really is, now that you've worked with so many, and obviously, you've written extensively and you've published extensively, as people follow your advice, are you see them able to, get out, basically leave behind some of those fears that have been kind of, sort of holding them back?
So thank you, Herb. By the way, I'm seeing some of the people on Twitter. Shout out John Beamson. That's cool. It's cool to see me on screen. I don't know what it looks like. You got these cool like planets. Who else is there? Chris Cook is in the house. No, it's Kev Price is in the nosebleeds. I don't know what you call it out in the UK, but that's super cool to see me from up there. Dude, great job with this conference. So in terms of failing, man, sometimes I'm surprised I'm smart, right? I think that's kind of a common thing. And then sometimes I'm still failing, right? So I think what we imagine is at different things, we stop failing. And failing is literally meaning you're trying something new. It means that you've tried something new, and all these failures are just learning opportunities. So, every video, almost every single video I've put out on YouTube this year, we've put out maybe 5, has been a poor performer. And those are all, it's a little bit more public. I don't think you have to go out and fail in public to succeed. Like, you don't have to go and make a fool of yourself. I don't think that's necessary. But I think you have to try something you haven't done before. And when it doesn't work out, instead of making it such a, I'm a failure, I suck, I just tell myself, okay, cool, what am I going to learn? And I want to be doing this for an extended period of time. Like, success comes in time. I think that's what's been missed out on. And my book is called $1 Million Weekend, and it's done really well in the UK. And it's that you can start these things in a weekend to find something that people actually want. But I got wealth and success over decades, right? So it does compound. But for you to do that, you have to try a lot of things. Like, I've tried so many things. Maybe some of the people on the Twitter world, like Chris or John or Eric, is that Eric? Kev, Price. All of these people have tried things. And, if you don't like your job, that's a great motivator to keep trying posting online, to keep trying services, to keep trying selling things, to keep trying. Maybe you can be a consultant around all the AI that's coming out. Maybe you can try the AI coming out. And you start noticing, man, I'm going to try something else out. Is there a way that this can be a business? Like, for instance, I don't know how there's not a solution today that automatically reads my emails and then writes the replies in my own voice. There is not a great solution for that. And that is unbelievably shocking. And I can imagine that. I don't know if that's a $1 billion business. That's at least a multi-million-dollar business of people read your emails, has a reply for you prompt, and you can just hit send or edit it. All the solutions out there are pretty weak.
Now, no, in one of your recent podcasts, you talked about finding sources of motivation, right, to take these risks and to get things, to do things. And if I remember correctly, you were talking about how I suppose getting fired from Facebook was a big source of motivation for you a while. Is that am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, I'm still mad at Zuckerberg, which is 20 years later, it's like I got bullied in high school and I'm still complaining about it. And I think it's healthy to have some enemies. I think it's healthy to have some bitterness that you want to prove yourself right. And I think entrepreneurship is a great way to build confidence. It's a great way to go and actually just help another person. Like, hey, I'm going to help you with this problem, and I'm going to do something that I'm proud of for myself. So yeah, I do think it's fun. It's nice to have either a parent that didn't give enough attention. Like, I always wanted my dad to give me more attention, or maybe it's someone else professionally that doubted you and use that as motivation. And eventually you get to a point where you just start trying to figure out how to prove yourself right. You're just like, how do I just do things that I'm proud of myself, separate of an attachment, separate of success, separate of having to have a number of views or followers that make me feel worthy of it. Just, hey, I'm proud of making this wood box, or I'm proud of doing a service. I'm proud of this video, whether it gets watched by a lot of people or not.
Indeed. Do we have time for one more question, or do you need to shoot?
Yeah, no, I do have... I'm going to get burritos. So I have 15 minutes. Right? I do eat a lot of tacos and burritos from having a meeting with our COO from AppSumo.
Sylvie was very insistent that we end by 5 p.m. our time. So now we know why, what's behind that. But so again, in a recent podcast, you talk about a coach or one of your coaches, and I think her name is Stephanie, and it's interesting to hear about someone who's now an advisor to so many people, still getting advice themselves and still, developing and things like that. I guess what was curious about was either talking about something that you have worked on successfully that you feel has changed over time, for the better, or something that you're working on right now that you're trying to change.
Yeah, and I wanted to give a quick plug. I have a bunch of things for the $1 Million Weekend for resources that we're talking about, or if people want to learn more about entrepreneurship, they can go to $1milliondollarweekend.com/resources. $1milliondollarweekend.com/resources, and it's got a bunch of the free templates and things. It's all free from $1 Million Weekend that'll help people out there. $1milliondollarweekend.com/resources. I think with coaching, what's shocking to me is that more people don't embrace it in literally every aspect of their life. So our company, it's a bit insane, but I think it's at least $500,000 a year on advisors and coaches. $500,000 a year. And so Stephanie Rigg, it's Stephanie __RIGG. She was a relationship coach I hired. And I found her on Instagram, worked with her for 6 months, and then maybe through 2-3 weeks after we finished working together, I found my wife. And I don't think that's coincidental. Now, that was in dating and relationship because I wanted to be married, have a family, which we're about to have a kid in about a month and a half. And we do that in all aspects of AppSumo. So I find it challenging to hire, I don't know, these like overpriced people that, don't do as much. But what I found is you find people who care, that are more affordable, that are excited about what you're working on, and you pair them with an advisor. So every one of our leaders gets an advisor. And these advisors, you can find them on LinkedIn. Like, go look at the people who worked doing the thing you want to hire. Yeah. So, Stephanie's helped a lot of people get married and find love and find worthiness in themselves. So I hired her. Our chief revenue officer, Sean, who's a VP of revenue, we've hired, he has a guy named Colin Gardner, who was a CRO at Outdoorsy, which is like the Airbnb for RVs. We have a chief people officer advisor from Duolingo. Her name is Christina Reich. We have a CMO advisor named Moody, who is the CMO of Glassdoor and Zapier. And I've just found coaches is such a affordable unlock relative to the to what you're spending. You're spending $500 an hour, which might sound kind of crazy, or $1,000 an hour. And then you start realizing like these people have referrals, these people have insights, these people have strategic recommendations that they've already done that you don't have to figure out. And I think a lot of people could benefit from that. I'm not a coach. I don't sell any coaching plan myself. I literally just sell you the book for $20 so you can do it yourself. But I think in your businesses, or if you're trying to learn languages, like, I go to Spanish coaching because I want to speak. My wife is Venezuelan. So I think you can apply it really in any aspect that you're trying to improve yourself on.
Fascinating. So if you don't mind, just one more question. What's next? Is there a next big project for you?
I don't have my meeting's not till 12, so I can do another 5-10 minutes if the audience wants it, Herb, and you want it.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at people commenting.
Fantastic. Yeah. There's applause.
Is there? All right, my Newcastle people. I literally. Okay, Herb. I thought this was in Italy. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but it's definitely. Thank God it's in Newcastle. I was worried. Okay. What were you asking? Then I'll stick around for more questions. These people are great. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, sure. No, just with regard to what you're working on next. I mean, I know the book is relatively recent, but is there a next big thing you're working on?
My baby. I mean, I did the hard work, 10 months ago, but she'll be meeting us in July. She'll be, so that'll be the biggest project. I think with success, internal success, I think this is like a big concept that people are missing. One is longevity, meaning work on things for extended periods of time. Most people don't last. And, when you find something working, that's the best thing. Like your marriage is working, make it work better. Don't go start a new marriage. And so with a lot of my businesses, so we have AppSumo, I have the book, I have, I guess, my content stuff that I like to do. I think in my 20s and 30s, I was like, let's do another thing. Let's do the next thing. And let's do the next thing. And my next thing is the now thing. Yeah. So what that means is that instead of writing another book, I'm going to spend 10 years promoting $1 Million Weekend. And instead of trying to start so many more new businesses, I'm going to keep improving AppSumo. Nice. And in my content, I'm thinking, how do I make content for 10 years? So yes, every video I've put out this year has not done well, but I've got 10 years in it to do it. So it's okay. What's my next video? Let me keep learning. And I'm from Silicon Valley. I was born and raised there, and I think we're encouraged about like, okay, what's your next thing, and what's your scale thing, what's your hypergrowth thing, and there's many ways of approaching it. But I think the success that's sustainable is this kind of like slow, consistent progress over decades. And so a lot of my next stuff is just the same stuff and slowly improving it.
Wow. Very interesting. I didn't expect that answer, and it's a really good one. So let me just, if there are folks in the audience that want to ask something to Noah, since we haven't heard these few extra, I'm going to ask one more question, and then we'll go around really quickly. So Noah, one thing is that, I mean, obviously a lot of your time is spent helping people who are seeking to become successful. But by now, given the number of people you know and the size of your platform and the high profile nature of it, you must have met a lot of successful people, perhaps like Mark Zuckerberg, that success kind of like, what I'm wondering about is, are there cautionary tales for people who become successful that then changes them in ways that aren't so great, that you would want to warn others about?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just speak from, I've interviewed a lot of billionaires on my YouTube channel. I've worked for billionaires. I think success, needs to be defined by yourself. So one of the things for me is that, do I have anything left on the table when I finish work? And lately, I've not been doing a good job of that. So I don't think I've been successful. Meaning, when I finish work at 5 or 6, and I've been loving my work lately. I'm loving it, and I encourage everyone to love their work. That's the whole point of entrepreneurship. It's like your day job sucks. Like start your own business that you can create your dream life. Like that's the coolest part about this existence on this planet. Like you don't have to be trapped in the level you're at. Like you can play the game and choose a different level. And so for me, success is, last night finishing work at 5, I came home and built a baby dresser. That was success. That was success. And I'm seeing a lot of people, including myself at times, where they're chasing some other number. I need to make $100 million business. I need to make $1 million. I need to build something so big. It's like, well, why? And it's because you're not feeling worthy about yourself. And I'm giving myself advice, but others. And this is what I've seen from these billionaires is they're chasing so much more, and then they're just never satisfied. And that's the hard balance, because they're successful because they're never satisfied, but then they're never enjoying it. And so it's finding that same rhythm for yourself where you do want to progress, but you're finding contentment in what you're doing. And to me, you don't have to be smart to be rich. That's the kind of coolest part about being wealthy in this world. Like a lot of ordinary people are wealthy, but what you really have to find is like, what does your successful life look like to you? Is it not working all day? Like a lot of people with, when you get to maybe my level of income or wealth, they're like, yeah, why are you working? I'm like, I don't know. This is what I love to do all day. And I think you have to find that for yourself. And I don't mean that arrogantly, but just find that for yourself and then really just embrace that. Like I have a friend, Neville, from copywritingcourse.com. I don't know, he makes 200,000 or so a year. I don't know the exact number, which is a lot of cash. I think that's good money, but he doesn't work that much. He watches The Simpsons most days. Right? Like he watches The Simpsons, he's watching Seinfeld, he's watching Joe Rogan podcast, and he just teaches people copywriting. And I think he's probably one of the happiest people I know.
Yeah.
And so I think we were trying to optimize for all these things, but think about what are you optimizing for, and how does your work support that?
Yeah.
And I think Europeans, I live in Spain half the year with my wife, and that's where we met, like do a better job than Americans. Americans, my wife's like, you guys are working way too much. And so I think you guys are already probably good about it, but just finding that right balance of contentment and improvement versus, some of these people, a lot of the billionaires, I would say, are unhappy.
Interesting.
I'd say most of the billionaires I've interviewed are unhappy that they're still chasing external. I would say like John Paul DeJoria was one of the only. He did Patron Tequila and Paul Mitchell Hair Care. He was one of the few that was at peace. I would say he was like, I love my family. I love donations. He doesn't seem like he's working all the time. Seems like he's really living the life he wants to be living versus what others are expecting of him.
Excellent. Okay. I'm going to just reach out to the audience now before we lose you. Anybody with a particular, I've got one there in the back there. Do you want to go ahead and shout out your name and the question?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Jamie. I'm just wondering, what does he think about other tech destinations in the US, aside from Silicon Valley, so maybe Austin, Boulder? Why are we seeing other tech hubs emerge? What's working?
Cool. Okay. Anyone else? Well, which would we do a combo? Maybe up in the gods there? No? Okay, cool. So we had a question from Jamie Hardesty, who is curious about about other tech hubs outside of the Silicon Valley, like Boulder and Austin and things like that. What's happening there, and why are they suddenly being successful in this current period? Is that right, Jamie? Is that roughly? Okay, great. Yeah. So that's the question.
That's funny. I was actually going to argue, I think those ones aren't doing as well. I think the international hubs are doing better. That's in my, I don't have data or anything besides anecdotally. I was back in San Francisco last weekend, and it did feel very vibrant.
Okay.
Felt like people are excited again and optimistic again about a lot of this AI technology. I try to be mindful of what the fads and trends are. I think if everyone's chasing something, I'm like, maybe I can go the opposite direction. So for me, I think there's a lot of opportunity internationally. Like we're based in Barcelona a lot of the year, and there's Glovo that's out there. There's Ukayo.com, and I think maybe there's areas that you can compete without competing against maybe American companies where you have advantages. And so I'd be curious how many more Spotify's are going to be coming out, how many other companies are coming out of Europe, and I think there's more hubs locally. Maybe it's in Newcastle, and potentially it's like specializing in certain areas. Maybe it's about doing Airbnb type stuff, or maybe it is AI stuff, or maybe it's robot stuff, whatever that is, and thinking about how do you create that within your own community. Like in Austin, where I'm at, it's actually been kind of insane how this is now, I would say, the content creator city. Right? We have like Joe Rogan, we have Tim Ferriss, we have Ryan Holiday, Chris Williamson, who's from UK. I'm here, and so I think it depends on what you're excited about, and then there's different kind of hubs based on that. I'd say the Denver hub, it's like Boulder and Denver, like Techstars. I feel like that's for people that want to go skiing a lot. That's like the ski hub. And so it's just thinking about for me, I was always wanting to be around computers, so I stayed in Silicon Valley till I was around 30. And then I was tired of talking about it all day. So I moved to Texas where it was a lot more free to just be, living versus just working.
Nice. Well, Chris Williamson's actually from Newcastle. So if you see him, please give him a big Newcastle hello for us. I didn't realize he's now relocated to Austin. So that's great to hear. And great to hear as well that you spent half your year in Barcelona, because we'll have to try and get you in person next time to maybe stop by the UK on the way in or way out.
That'd be great.
Well, listen, Noah, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate your time and the answers you've given us. And we'll make sure we've got copies of your book here for sale, and we'll make sure to point people. Man. We'll point people to your YouTube channel and your podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much. Shout out to our football club, Newcastle. Do we have like a cheer? Newcastle football cheer?
Thanks again.